guys, it's Cupcake Kamisama back here and welcome to another video. As you can gather by the backdrop and where we are, it's going to be another All Frills Baking with Cupcake Kamisama. Sorry about this, I did not think this through. At this point, I'd like to thank you so much for the positive response to the first All Frills Baking. When I was doing that, it was part experimental, part me preempting whatever unspoken criticism some people out there might have, and I did not expect to be met with such a positive response. The fact that I have has meant so much, and seeing as so many people have said do carry on with this, then we'll keep doing All Frills Baking with Cupcake Kamisama. I've also taken your feedback on board, so this time there will be exact quantities in the description box below, and I'll show you details of my coordinate somewhere in this video. We'll see how that works out. But on to the baking, especially since today I'm a little bit on the clock in that I want to have this done in time for the Great British Bake Off, so that I have a snack to enjoy whilst watching other people bake in far more stressful environment. Just like before, I'm using a recipe from the Hummingbird Bakery's recipe book called Life is Sweet, and this one is for something called Ozark Pudding Cake, which I'd never heard of prior to this. The recipe calls for making this in a skillet, but as it's baked just like any other cake, and I don't have a skillet or an oven-proof pan, I'm just going to be using a regular baking tin, and we'll see how that goes. I'm quite excited by it. It seems on the simpler side, but there are steps and things that I normally wouldn't have bothered going through, like peeling and slicing fresh fruit. So this will be an interesting adventure for me as well. I've already washed my hands. I'm gonna get rid of the jangly ring and the other one. Probably get rid of the bracelets as well, because even though this one does not involve any kneading, it will just be easier to have my hands free for this. So I also remembered that I actually own an apron. I completely forgot about that until so many of you in the comments started saying, please get an apron. And then memory kicked in and was like, you have one. It's not one that I would have picked. I received it as a present for Christmas, I think, at some point. And I'm fairly sure it's more intended to be decorative rather than practical. Having said this, it's made out of 100% cotton. It's quite sturdy, so it's gonna get used as a proper apron. And it has strawberries on it and polka dots. I don't care so much for the strawberries, but polka dots are important. Let's try and not knock my headboat off. If you're thinking that it matches my cord quite well today, it's because I matched my cord to this apron. And now I'm ready to start. For this recipe you'll need flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, powdered ginger, unsalted butter, vanilla extract, toasted almond flakes, an egg, 2 firm apples, these are Pink Lady variety, some measuring tools, something to peel the apples with, something to mix stuff with. Also, please let's appreciate how cute that spatula is. Thank you, Aldi. Some mixing bowl and a sieve, and a pan to bake the thing in. Honestly, this is more of your mix everything together and bake kind of cake, which in my books classifies as easy, but we'll still go through the steps. So starting with all the dry ingredients, putting them in one bowl so that it's easier.
actually a fan of ginger bakes, but in this one it actually really worked. So sieve everything together. There's no need to be particularly careful about that. Get rid of all the big lumps, and then onto the wet stuff, by which I mean sugar, which you'll then cream with some butter. Here's an important break for me to pick something to watch or to listen to. I think it was a podcast I was listening to then, before getting back onto the baking at hand, and cream it until it resembles wet sand. It was a bit cool, so it required some beating, but with enough patience you can do that by hand. Obviously if you have a mixer it won't take quite as long. That's wet sandy enough. So in goes vanilla extract. And then 1 egg. And mix everything until it's very nice and smooth. Once it is, you'll dump all the dry ingredients in one go, mix some more. The batter will be stiff. The recipe book did not lie about that, it was very stiff. And then onto the apples. The recipe didn't actually specify to peel them, but since one of them was going into the cake itself, I thought it would be best to peel it. Quick snack, because I love an apple, honestly. Then I'm quartering it so that I can core it. Obviously if you have an apple corer then use that, but all you really need is a knife and being careful. Yeah, don't chop your fingers there. And then dice it finely. My knife skills are not the best, I admit that, so I did what I could. But as long as it's diced finely, it can go inside the cake, like so. Then in goes half of the toasted almonds and try and mix it until just incorporated. In that time, I've buttered my tin, put the batter in, then realised that my tin was too big for the batter at hand, so I got a different one. Repeat the steps up until now. Honestly, mistakes like this happen, it's just baking. If it happens to you, don't get flustered, it's easily fixed. Like that. Preheat the oven to 175 Celsius, and in that time I could get onto slicing the other apple. The reason why I didn't do it in advance is because I didn't want the apples to start browning, and I didn't have any lemon juice to stop them from doing so. But the second one, I kept the skin on and sliced it into these half circles to arrange nicely on top of the cake itself. Then on went the other half of my toasted almond flakes, trying to scatter it as prettily as possible, and bang it in the oven. Initially I set it for 35 minutes and I thought that's perfectly enough time to get some mulled apple juice going, because what else could go better with a gingery appley cake than mulled apple juice, which is simple. 1 litre of apple juice, these 3 spices, bang bang bang, let them simmer on a low heat. And then when the initial 35 minutes were up, I checked on the pudding cake. It didn't seem quite ready yet, so I stuck it on for a further 10 minutes, in which time I removed the star anise, because if you keep it, it can make it taste a little bit too medicinal for my taste. 10 minutes later, I thought that's as good as it's going to get, so I took it out, sprinkled some sugar on top, and voila! Granted, the skillet was actually needed so that the bottom of it could continue cooking and crisping up. Having said this, it doesn't look half bad. I mean, compare it with the picture in the book. Yes, the one in the book is slightly more toasty and crispy, so maybe I could have kept it in for a bit longer, but it's really not bad. And I ate the entire thing. By that point, it was time to settle because...
Welcome to the Great British Bake Off.
As I said, I nommed the entire thing. The only thing that could have improved it was having some vanilla ice cream, so I'll definitely be making that again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, support me on Patreon, all that jazz. Thank you for watching and take care. Bye!